Okay. Let's begin the harmony circle by coming to the present with a focus on our breath, on this beautiful chant of compassion. Let's take a few minutes to feel, be with our breath, feel the energy of this chant, and then we'll begin. Thank you. Invoking Mother's presence and grace, and excited to begin again this further exploration, further reflection, stillness, because it appears that the more we, try to touch it, the more deeper or more important, it seems. So let's see. So, how do we begin today? Should we start with like the basic sharings? We had decided last time that if we will try to, in those empty pockets of time, we will try and be a bit more centered for a few moments, minutes in between. We had, yeah. So if any of us were able to do it, I mean, I hope we were. If we can just start with that sharing, what that stillness meant, was I able to do it? Why not? And if you're honest, that would be great because it would benefit everyone. Thank you. Okay. Actually, Ritu.
Yeah, Taru.
Yeah, Sartaji, please.
Yeah. So I tried doing it 2-3 days, three, maybe first day I tried 3 times, second day 2 times, and third day also 2 times. One thing I found, my mind was not stopping. It was going on and on and on. But still, I was confident that it will stop sometime. And it did help. Yeah. And I felt, somewhat good. I don't know what was that feeling, but I could enjoy that stillness. Maybe I just tried for 2-3 minutes, that's all, not more than that. But that also helped me. After that, I didn't do.
Yes, thank you, Sartaji. And if I may ask, you said you tried for 3 days.
Yeah.
Honestly, what is the reason that you stopped after that?
Mm. To be very honest, I forgot about it.
Yeah. So, like say yesterday, when maybe the session and all link was posted, did you again do it, or you said that okay, now that I have forgotten, let me forget only? Were you reminded yesterday, or this
No, no,
morning? No.
no, I
Oh,
forgot about it totally.
okay. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you
when
so
you
much.
asked the question now I'm, remembering. Oh, I should have done. Maybe not too late. This week I will try.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
1 minute. I'll give it to Meera.
Okay.
Yes. So, so I observed that for the first 3 days, I could do it 6 times, like what I had initially thought of doing. And then until today, it was like, I downloaded the Plum Village app, but I think it was more like 3 or 4 times the rest of the 3-4 days. Yeah, the first 3 days when I did it 6 times, it was good because like that stillness was the first day. It was very difficult, but then the second day it started feeling good in itself. Like I felt like many of my thoughts were started answering itself. Yeah, so that was my experience.
Amira, would you like to elaborate that a little bit for us? Firstly, how did you do it? Like, how did you get those 6 times? And when you
Yeah.
said the thoughts were answering themselves, if you could speak a bit on that. Thank you.
Yeah. So on the 6 times, it probably would be like 6 breath cycles. So I would slowly breathe in and out, and won't have thoughts in that particular breath cycle time. So what happened? Yeah, automatically the everything sort of slows down. So what I was trying to say, the thoughts answering itself was, let's say maybe I was a little irritated or frustrated about something, but I didn't know why, right? And like you're sort of engaged in activity usually, and then it gets suppressed, and then like you wouldn't know why you're in that state. But in this period where you take that pause, I feel it was like it got answered to me why I was in that a state in that particular day. So then it sort of that feeling went away.
Okay, so basically, when you were feeling that you are not at rest, and when you were able to connect within, you felt that you could see why you were at unrest, right? If I understand that correctly.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So it gave the time to connect, yeah, within, so that it brings more clarity.
And how did you remember to do it 6 times? If you could share it with us. Did you put any alarm, or you just, whenever you got the chance, you would just withdraw within?
Uh, Yeah, no, I think there was no alarm for the first. When I did it 6 times, it came like automatically as a sort of a will that I had put in on Sunday, that I should do it 6 times, as many times as I remember it, need not be six, so that it would be at least six.
Okay, thank you. And sorry for
Thank
the
you.
extra probing.
No,
Yeah, requesting everybody, even if they forgot to do it, it's good to acknowledge it so that one can, try again, try again, try again. And again, this thing that do we even feel that it's important? If we could even reflect on that I couldn't because it didn't feel important. Yeah. Yes, Deepa.
Um, so for me, this is very new to sit down and meditate and chant. I'm also not very good with my prayers, everyday prayers. So it was quite an effort for me. But so I started with once a day for 2, 3 days. Um, what I realized was the more I was conscious about my thoughts coming in constantly, and the more I stopped, the more it continued. So it was like it was too conscious an effort. So then after the second day I was slightly frustrated, so on the third day I just decided I let it come, and it just kept flowing. And I think by the fourth or fifth day there was a certain quietness, a calmness that came in because I was not fighting it anymore. That is what I felt like. I mean, it was a big takeaway for me. Then I think after I spoke to you, Taru, I tried to do twice a day, but I'm not very good about maintaining a schedule or finding that time. I need to do it more often. um, what I realized is when I do it, the benefits, uh, I think we don't realize how distracted we are in our everyday living. And when I take that time to do it, there's a certain level of it's very hard to put in words, but for once at least your mind is not constantly scrambling. um, you just give that time for your mind to settle in. I'm still like, I know that I'm way far away from having a calm and still mind, but at least during those few minutes before and after also the meditation, what I've realized is I may not scramble immediately for my phone or varied thoughts or actions or whatever. I just give myself a little time, and it's nice to have that time. So I think I should be a little more dedicated and sincere towards doing this.
And why will you be more dedicated and sincere towards doing it?
It's a good practice is what I realized. I just remember that poem where they say there is no time to stand and stare. And this suddenly gave me that perspective that if in 24 hours I can't find this time for myself, to center myself, then it is not a good reflection on the way I'm letting myself be aware of myself or self growth and stuff. So I think just because I could see the benefit, I should do a little more on this.
It's like how we were discussing in yesterday's circle that not exactly this, but say if I were to ask the ocean about its life, about what it was, and if the only thing the ocean knows is its waves, you if you would ask them that, "Hey, what about your depth?" And imagine if the ocean says, "Oh, I'm not even aware I have depth." Right? All I feel is the waves. See, so much fun, so many people, so much noise, those balloon sellers, those light sellers. Wow, it's so fascinating. And again, I ask the ocean, but what about your center, right? What about the peace? And it would be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So imagine if I look at the ocean, how much is the depth and where are the shores, right? Like, what would be more? And yet, because the movement, the chaos, the activity is so captivating that it is a possibility that I, the ocean, refuses or am unaware. How can I refuse when I don't even know it exists, right? So I'm unaware that I have the depth of the ocean, even more than that. So if now I want to know who I am or what am I doing here, the only way is in, right? Because out I have been too much, too much, too much. And there's something which is not fulfilling about the out, right? That's why I'm here. And now the only way is in. So if in my 24 hours, like you were saying, if I cannot take out like 3 pockets, we talked about 3, right? 2 2 minutes pockets, like 6 minutes, then that means something is not all right, right? That means that if this is important to me and if I want to connect with the depth, and this is for all of us, Deepa, right? Like it's obviously not you, all of us. It's shocking how far we have come that even this we forget, myself very much included, that one needs constant reminders. Yes, please say what.
Also, what I found was the initial day 1 or 2 days when it seemed like even like it went to about 3 to 4 minutes. It seemed effortful. By the third and fourth day, I was going up to 6 to 7 minutes in that one sitting, and it didn't seem a lot of time. Um, Honestly, I think for me, it is more about making it a habit and a practice. And it is not at all difficult to do, because it gives you a sense of, I won't say calm, but just allows you to be yourself for that few minutes where you're not thinking about, okay, what is the next meal to do? I have to take care of the kids right now. I have to see whether they've got dressed or not. For once, you're not thinking about everything else that is happening around in the world or in your house, but just centering. So when it is not effortful anymore, I think I should be doing more. Hopefully, I'll, get it sorted.
Yeah, and while you're sharing, it appears, right? And again, for all of us, that if I give it priority, right? If I feel this is important, only then it would happen, right? And the only way I would know it is important is when I start doing it. So it's a catch 22, right? Like I would not do it because I don't feel it's important. When I start doing it, when I realize it, it's much easier. So I have to, I'm so used to the noise that this feels like a very bizarre idea actually. But like we love to experiment with things, we love to explore, we must give ourselves this chance. One thing is like you said, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, or one thing is having designated time for, say, sitting in silence or having some guided meditation. They say guided meditations are actually entertainment in another form, but at least they get us started, right? At least we can follow and we can start feeling I don't know, the pleasure in even sitting and thinking and visualizing and not just doing and getting, so much stimulus. But that too is a stimulus, but it's a better one because it's asking us to be a bit more still. That is a designated time that if we have, we can do one time, once or twice. And then what we spoke about were empty pockets, right? Which we have, I don't know, in one day, I would say we would have 500 600, I think, empty pockets, that when we are in between, we are in between. So just then, if we can just connect, okay, what am I doing? Where am I? Okay, breathe once or twice. Suddenly, how there's this quote, I forget exactly what it says, that we are not earthly beings, we are having a divine experience. We are divine beings having a earthly experience. So this starts feeling very surreal. You start connecting with the source and the depths that you are. So that's a very big shift that can be achieved just with stilling 1 minute in between the days when so much is going on and you're like, okay, just 1 minute. Okay, what's the body doing? Okay, it's standing. Okay, breathe. And that's it. That's it. Like it's not complicated. It's not asking for too much. But suddenly, the ocean, when it closes its eyes or senses for 1 minute, it starts realizing that there's more, there's more to the waves, there's more. A huge dimension shift, I would say, happens, but only if we were to begin, and it's really amazing. And thank you for sharing so extensively.
Ma'am, good morning and namaskar.
Yeah, good morning
It's going to
to
be a little
you
long.
for joining in. You
Yeah. So I started from Sunday, and I've done it 5 times every day except Thursday. Um, and I was doing on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I was doing around, I don't know, mm, at a stretch, sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes. Sometimes there was a one time I was doing it 15 minutes, and um, then when Monday came, no, by Tuesday, no, I could only do it for 2-3 minutes. And Sunday, Monday, I was very happy doing it. Tuesday, no, it felt like I've entered my fort. Monday, I was in I was in when I started doing it, I was in my town walking towards my fort. I saw my fort, a very nice fort, a beautiful fort from the outside. And by Monday, I was by the fort's door. Tuesday, I opened the door and I entered the door, and ma'am, Tuesday I was sad. I was very sad. I never thought that, having a staying quiet can also make me sad. And it felt like it's the first time I've been in my own fort. And I'm looking at everything, the walls, the rooms, everything, and there's so much mess in the house. There's so much negativity, so many depressions, so much ego, so much anger. Not anger though. This time I didn't find anger, but I found a lot of unsatisfaction inside the house. And to be honest with you, by Wednesday, the time had come down because no, it felt like something in me is taking me out of this. It's asking me to come out, come out. Don't stay in the house, come out. Like don't stay quiet, don't stay quiet. And in one way or the other, I had my phone ringing, my office calling or something. Wednesday, no, it felt like all these. I've started listening to the sessions in September, but it felt like I don't even know mother. I've never been introduced as a kid to mother. That's what it felt like, and it felt like I have it was like, okay, you know what? I'm losing my mind. Oh my God, I couldn't even remember a thing. I still tried to stay set like in my chair, and I know this. I didn't close my eyes on Wednesday. I just saw the ceiling, and it was unfruitful on Wednesday. But I didn't fight with anybody. I just saw how things are going inside the head, and Wednesday night, I could not sleep because I had something to do at work. So Thursday I was at it, but the moment I closed my eyes, I was going to sleep. So I tried so many times on Thursday, but I would close my eyes and instantly I would sleep. So Thursday it was okay. Only before I went to bed, I did it for 10 minutes, and then I started cleaning stuff very slow. The house was sta- the house I started cleaning my fort from Thursday. Not much. Just had a small brush in my hand and I was like dusting the walls and stuff. Friday it felt better. Again I felt connected. It felt like okay, I'm coming into this line again, into this path. I'm remembering mother and all. And yeah, Friday it was again. I think Friday I've done only 4 times. Because if I count last night's session, then it will be 5 times. Otherwise, it's only 4 times. But yeah, I am now. I really have to start cleaning my fort right now. That's my
Hey, Jagan, I actually felt exhausted listening to you, and I can't imagine how exhausted you must have felt with this effort. And obviously, I'm not any expert in this, like there's obvious that in that, but See, again, I would like to say that one thing is sitting with yourself, reflecting, or just focusing somewhere, right, for an extended period of time, which is great and which you have been trying to do. But what, in addition to this, because if we do this 5, 5, 6 times a day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it would be exhausting, especially in the beginning, and it would need a lot of effort. But what I have been requesting or experimenting with, so sharing, that these empty pockets of time, like say when we are in between things, just for a minute, maybe half a minute, just connecting within and seeing कि where is Jagan? Okay, he's standing. Okay, the hands are down, the feet are down. Okay, and how's his breath? Okay, let him breathe. One breath, two breath. That's it. No thinking, no reflecting on what all is there. Just connecting so that one is for that minute. One is not in the stories of Jagan and one is looking at Jagan. So just that this helps with the stepping back. So what you are saying is taking you further in the fort. And what I am saying is step back, go beyond, and then you'll have a panoramic view, panoramic view that, okay, there's a fort, there's Jagan, there are 50,000 more people. And that is effortless. The only effort required there is to remember that, okay, I have to do this. You see what I'm doing? Like, because it sounded too much effort from where you were saying, and I don't know how much it would be able to last like that. So what you're saying is great,
Yeah.
but in between the day, if I want to make it a habit, yes, absolutely, Sarkaji. So
Um,
just that, yeah, please.
so yeah, actually I wasn't really setting up a time for this, to be honest. I knew it was only for 2 minutes, but then after sitting like this for a while, I would go into it. I don't remember how it went on for so long. Even on the day it was 15 minutes. No, I thought I forgot that I was in this thing. After 15 minutes, I was like, okay, last 15 minutes, what happened? And like, oh, maybe I was that quiet. I couldn't even remember what happened. So yeah, but yes, I think I was looking too much within, and it kind of put me off guard. But yeah, I will. I don't think I fully understood,
Yeah,
but
you
I
were
will
not
ask you
there
a few
even in the
questions when.
session. Yeah, you were not even there. We just had a brief
Yes,
conversation. So this is
yes,
not about cleaning right now. This is about just leaving everything and just standing still and let whatever is happening happen. So then it would not be effort. It's like again how it said, the baby cat and the baby monkey, right? The monkey has to latch on and hold on and it's effort and the mama is jumping here and there and there. And the cat is holding and walking, right? The baby doesn't have to do anything. So both are good. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. It's great. But it just feels that to start with, to do that 5, 5, 6 times a day would be a lot of effort. And one might feel resentment or repulsion towards that so much effort initially. So along
yes,
with this, if you like it, you do it, it would be nothing but good. Just knowing that there are some moments of effortlessness in which I'm not Jagan, right? So I can just, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, but thank
sure.
you for the efforts, and I'm sorry
Yeah.
that so much
No, no,
effort
no.
had to be put
This it
in.
was fantastic. The only thing I would say is that in experience, no, when we put on the headphones, there is something called active noise cancellation. It sort of cancels all the noises around. No, this time, no, it was turned off, and I was like, I was hearing that those trees moving, and uh, I was hearing to the wind blowing, and yeah, that was something I normally wouldn't, because I'm so consumed. But yeah, that was one thing about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
What I noticed was when I was just one more point while I was trying to meditate, with my constantly running diverse thoughts that were coming to my mind. By the third day when I did pranayam, it helped me a lot. So I don't know if that is okay. Like I was chanting Om, I was doing Bastrika, I was doing the other forms of breathing, and that I felt had a certain effect on my stray thoughts that continuously come. I had better control because now my mind was focused on the breathing, the chanting, or the different forms of pranayam. And I still cannot be completely quiet because my thoughts are still not under my control. But pranayam helps me a lot in this.
Yeah, so again, just this trying to, first of all, there's no right and wrong, and I don't know right and wrong. But I just want to, just for my own thing, one thing is like, of course, stilling the mind through things, right? Like pranayam, excellent, sitting, reflecting, excellent, right? And yet, those are just some pockets in time, right? Like 5 minutes, 10 minutes that you'll do maybe once, maybe twice. Jagan was able to do it 6 times, 5 times, which is great. And if we just want to start with that, that's great. But what I had requested was something even much more basic, was just those one minutes during the day to connect within. No uh, thoughts needed, no practices needed. Just okay, 1 second. Okay. Okay, what is Deepa doing? Okay, okay, she's cooking. Okay. What is the posture? Okay, can Deepa breathe for 1 minute? Or can Deepa breathe 2 times? Just watching the breath. That's it. That's it. So all I'm saying is we are so used to complicating all the complex things at a simple thing. See, breath, when you start sitting with breath or when you start focusing on breath, it's magical. And yet, because it seems so simple, और हमको लगता है कि अरे इसमें तो कोई स्मार्टनेस ही नहीं लग रही, लेट मी पुट दैट म्यूजिक, दैट फ्रीक्वेंसी, दोस ड्रम साउंड्स, एंड तब बात बनेगी ना. एंड देन वो हम लगाते ही नहीं और फिर बैठते ही नहीं है. तो very simply, just checking within between times would also, I mean, what you are doing, Jagan is doing is great. And if you can continue with that, that's great too. And in addition, if we can have these little connections within, I just pause. There is this, we were discussing it last time. I think that might also throw a bit of light on it. I was looking at, this thing. The video of Thai. Yes, yes, Deepa, please.
So before we go on to the video, I remember you did tell me that it is about mindfulness and that even if you're walking, just focus on your steps. That is as simple as that you had mentioned. So when I try to do that, is it okay if I just concentrate? Are you supposed to concentrate inward? Or let's say I'm looking at a tree and I'm just so focused on the tree moving and the leaves rustling. Is that also part of mindfulness? Or is it necessary for it to be inward?
I think everything is part of it, right? There's mindfulness of what's happening outside. Like Jagan said, he could suddenly hear the sound of the wind, right? And inward. Or maybe we can even do both. Or maybe someday it can be outward, someday it can be inward. So there is no formula, there is no right and wrong. And if it were, I would be the last person to say this is right, this was wrong. I was just sharing the things I was experimenting with and that I felt they were giving me something. Right? And we all are different, we all have a journey, and there'll be different things. So if we can do it without the stress of a formula and just simply, if nothing we can understand or relate with, not understand is the wrong word, just anything that comes, and yet keeping in touch, like how we keep checking on people, checking on ourselves, at knock knock knock, okay, all good, okay, standing good, breathing good, that's it. Just that checking in of a minute, 30 seconds of just a knock knock, all good, good, I'm good too, that's it. So the less complicated we make it, the more there is a probability that we'll be able to do it. Because the more complicated we make it, we might try to do it right now because the focus is on it, but then we'll stop it. Yeah. So a very small video, we had discussed it. Nandini also had shared something like this about, say, how one can answer a telephone, like how a bell can also be that gong that we were talking about.
Words can travel thousands of kilometers.
I'm assuming
They are
you
to
can
bring
hear
about
it.
more understanding, mutual understanding. I vow that what I am going to say will be beautiful, like flowers and embroideries. I vow that everything I'm going to say will help with more mutual understanding and compassion. When you hear the telephone ringing, you practice. You are supposed not to run to the telephone. You're supposed to stay wherever you are, because the sound of the telephone is also the voice of the Buddha calling you back to your true home. Stay wherever you are and go back to your in-breath. Listen, listen. This wonderful sound brings me back to my true home. And then after having practiced like that 2 times, you do walking meditation to the telephone, or you take the telephone out and answer. And if you are the one who want to make the phone call, you prepare yourself before making the number. You practice going home to yourself. And there is also a verse for you to practice. Words can travel thousands of kilometers. They are to bring about more understanding, mutual understanding. I vow that what I am going to say will be beautiful, like flowers and embroideries. I vow that everything I'm going to say will help with more mutual understanding and compassion. And then now you are qualified to make a phone call. And when you hear, you hear the sound at the end of the line, you know that the other person is listening, breathing in and out. And you know that you have a chance to practice breathing in and out with her. So both of you are breathing in and out mindfully at the same time. It's a very beautiful practice. We call it telephone meditation. And then in Plum Village, in the Deer Park Monastery also, if we use the computer is programmed so that every quarter of the hour there will be a bell of mindfulness, so that you can stop your work and go home and enjoy your in-breath and out-breath. And you know that when you call Plum Village or Deer Park, you don't expect them to answer right away after the first ring. They are breathing in and out.
Any reflections on this? Just like, we were talking about the gong. So according to Thai, it's just again so simple. It can be any sound. It can be anything. It can be like anytime you find yourself lost in the forest of thought, which is like almost all the time. Whenever you see you're getting sucked in, you step out and you say, okay, breathe. That's it, breathe. Okay, one breath. Okay, one breath of mindfulness. So that just helps you get pulled out of where you are sucked in. I'm so stuck in my roles, my stories, what happened to me, what I want, that it just helps. It sounds stupid, maybe. What would a breath do? But if we just stay at it, if we look what it does, we do have the awareness and the comprehension that, oh, yes, something is happening, something is shifting. Yes, so anybody else, if they were able to practice or not practice, anything they would want to share about the vibes or yes, hi Nanda.
Hi. So I think, like everybody else, I made it a little bit complicated. But that's because I actually not complicated, but I saw it as an opportunity of really aspiring to do things that I really wanted. But usually with me, I have aspirations, but tamas is equally there, pulling me all the time down. So I thought I committed 3 times a week. So I thought maybe I'll use those 3 times to nourish my spirit, mind, and body. And there's this particular meditation I like, twin heart meditation, pranic healing. So I started off with that in the morning for 15 minutes. I really like it, but again, as I say, I'm not able to practice it every day. Usually I would do 2 times a week or 3 times because it's again my tamas, so it's fine. I'm late, I'm this. But because I like, as Thai said, I vowed. So I thought, I vowed to Tharu or to to the harmony circle that I'll do it. Was very glad to be able to do it. Then in the evening, I thought of just engaging my body consciousness to write something very mindfully. Because I'm working usually during the day, busy, so I tried whenever I'm writing, let it be very like not using my mind too much, just using my body, use that. And in the evening as well, before sleeping, I try to do to focus on my body. So it's like enriching my spirit and body, every part of the body, imaging mother's light. And that's how I slept. So that's how I did for 3 days. It went really good. But I remember on the 4th day, something really bad happened. Like something happened and it really put me off, an argument or, just a friction. And usually it really puts me off really bad. But something good happened this time. And I think what happened was that because I had really vowed to commit those 3 times a day, my practice, I was not completely overtaken by that kind of, heavy attack, like how I would say pain body coming up again and again. So what I tried to do is, okay, my 1.5, 2 days, went like I couldn't really do it. I did pranic healing, but I missed afternoon. In the night as well, I was not, feeling well and anxious and something uneasy, the spirit of not feeling inside, something tearing, those things. But then again, like one thing that I always say, that having, like mother would always say, that having an aim in life is a big resolve for all the things. So I thought, because I made a small aim, a good and a nobler aim that I committed, I think it really eased out that effect that I was having from that episode, which would have lasted for another 5 days had I not committed. So I just, I said, okay, now I need to stop this, whatever this is happening, and I really need to do what I committed. So even though I missed those 1.5, 2 days, I was able to come back and I was able to complete it yesterday. So I felt really happy. And I think I wanted to be really, I wanted to also share my gratitude for giving us that opportunity to practice, because even with our greatest aspirations, if we don't commit to things, it you slip away so fast. And so yeah, that was really good. And I hope we all try, it becomes a way of life in our life, where we don't need all those 3 times or 4 times. Every moment, every second is just a way of just progressing and progressing and progressing, or saying that aspiration all the time, being in that state. So yeah, So thank you very much for that. That was my reflection. How making a small aim in life, it can become such a big rescue from all the dramas that we are so good at creating and enjoying. Also, I also felt that it's also about, we start over the time, we start enjoying in those dramas of the mind. We really enjoy them, even though we don't acknowledge. That's something that really came on my face this time. That it is me who is enjoying it. It happened. Okay, no matter what, how big it was, it just finished in that second. Now I'm carrying it for 1.5 days. Earlier I used to carry it for a week. Just what is this happening? I asked myself, like, vital so much. So yeah, so that was good, and I don't think so I wouldn't have been able to come to it had I not really, had these 3 stretches of time, which I could just, like as Monica would say, taking off that jacket and just being engaged in the practice. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Nandini. And again, when we commit to something bigger, we can have these excuses and we will buy into them, right? Because of this, because busy, because this, which we all are. But again, those 30 seconds, a minute, that knock that we are talking about, that is not the only excuse in that, is that it's something I don't want to do. Right? So again, along with anything that we do that benefits, if we can also give attention to those checking in, I feel that really helps, because it doesn't need time. We cannot say that I did not have 30 seconds. We cannot say that, right? It's like we ourselves would not be able to accept that. That, okay, I couldn't even do it twice a day. I didn't have a minute. So, yeah, but thank you for sharing it so beautifully. And now that you have experienced it for yourself, that how something big could just guide by, it would have, that more and more influence and more strength it would give you to practice that. So that's all we need to keep going back and remembering. Yeah, that's
Also,
good.
one thing that I realized, I was thinking about it this morning. Alukda would say, I think in talks we always discuss that, why do we need to have a spiritual practice, or, yoga for that matter? We can only have it and a strong commitment till the time we realize that nothing else in life is worth pursuing than this.
Mm.
And that is the realization that comes gradually. So when I commit myself to doing this, like for example, you gave us this practice and we did it, and like Deepa was sharing, I really enjoyed that you actually feel, there's no this combo, oh, I have to feed my children, or I have to, do this assignment or this meeting. You're just so this peace, that's wow. I just say aha moment, that wow, that's there, and I don't know it, and I'm trying to look at, with my husband or with my children or with this movie or that movie or this pub, that's there all the time, like, asking us. I was feeling that these practices, I really felt it, like I mean it, especially in those practices I did, that, there is nothing worth doing in life than this. So that was really good. Like, I think strengthened that belief, that rather than doing that movie, or like, as you said, that every time checking in with myself, because who else is more important than myself? I mean, my inner self, my inner being. So I think that also brought me closer. This practice that you gave us brought it closer to that aspiration, or that realization that we all need to come to, that nothing in life is really worth pursuing than this. So, yeah, that was the 2 things.
But how would I know this until I begin, right? Like, say, for Meera, Krishna was a choicelessness, right? It wasn't, she was choosing him. She was him, right? He was her. And yet she had to be given that idol. She had to be told by by her mother that, he's your husband, for example. So we also have to keep picking up those idols and wondering that, okay, is it this? Is it this? Different experiments. Because, even there are so many masters, there are so many mystics. And I first time heard it again from Thich Nhat Hanh. He says that you think meditation or breathing or this awareness, mindfulness is an effort because you still have not fell in love with your breath. And the day you do it, the day you fall in love, then, koi रोक के दिखाए, because now तो it's a love story, right? But for it to become a love story, there has to be some exposure, there has to be some interaction, there has to be some dates, yeah, dating. So ये जो 1 minute है, we can actually call them datings, right? Dating with your inner self. Hey, hello, all good. That's how a relationship starts. So if I want to start a new relationship, बिकॉज उसके लिए पहले तो एक वांट होनी चाहिए, राइट? कि अभी अच्छा नहीं लग रहा या कोई और होगा तो अच्छा लगेगा. तो देन वी कैन बिगिन एंड मे बी वी कैन स्टार्ट विद वंस अ डे, ट्वाइस अ डे, एंड द मोर वी लाइक इट, द मोर इट वुड कम. बट इनिशियली वी हैव टू पुट इन दैट एफर्ट कि नो, आई वांट टू गिव इट अ ट्राई. लाइक डेटिंग ऐप पे प्रोफाइल बनाना पड़ता है, चैट्स भेजने पड़ते हैं, प्रोफाइल रिव्यू करना पड़ता है, राइट? एवरीथिंग टेक्स एफर्ट. So this too initially definitely would take effort till it becomes effortless. And the stories that you were talking about, it's just amazing how much they live on our energy, right? Is if say I'm inside and I heard कि glass टूट गया, right? There's a glass that kind of was knocked down. तो किसने तोड़ा? रखा किसने था? यहाँ क्यों रखा? ये कोई जगह है रखने की? 50 बार बोला है यहाँ पे नहीं रखना है. और उसके अंदर था क्या? जूस आधा क्यों छोड़ा हुआ था? For example, मतलब one thing is that okay, you go, you pick up the glass and done. But that's not what we do, right? We love to, I don't know, put oil in fire or whatever. And then we say कि अरे इतना दिमाग क्यों खराब करते हैं हम? Because हमें there's something about it that gives us that I-ness, right? कि अरे मेरे अलावा तो कोई ढंग से कुछ करता ही नहीं, or whatever. So 100 different stories, but things can be small. And if we would just allow them to pass, we keep latching on. Hi, Vasu.
Good morning.
One.
There's so many things I want to speak and comment on. And just what you mentioned just a couple of minutes back about falling in love. I don't know about falling in love, but I've got asthma. So, breath is like very, very, I mean, I know the value of what it like, it might seem effortless, like we're breathing and we don't concentrate. But for me, if I've been there in those times when every breath has been very labored. So I do tend to concentrate at times, but I also liked before the telephone meditation, what you said, Taruna, it really spoke to me. At best, I'd say I have a monkey mind. So given that, I cannot do this thing of like a lot of discipline of, trying to do bigger things in a short span of time. So I like this idea about those 30 seconds and a minute. And I don't sort of plan it out that I'm going to do this. I just like that during the course of my day, I can just snatch that seconds or a minute and I'll just be still. I'm not like, oh, I have to be still. Like, I think that's the way at least I work, is that if it is effortless, if I'm not putting in too much of thought into it, then I think it comes easier to me as opposed to planning it out, scheduling it, or what have you. So also what Deepa had mentioned, almost 96 to 97% resonated with me as well. But I like that I'm able to sort of sit at times whenever I want to. I can just be watching the leaves rustling, watch the tree, watch a squirrel, and I'll be totally absorbed. For me, that's like stillness, because then I'm not having those gazillion thoughts that's running in my mind constantly. So that's what I wanted to share.
No, I thought you will be ending the session today. You said you had a lot of sharings. I was excited. Okay.
I'm practicing brevity, Taruna.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. It's a bit sad what you were sharing about, the breath and asthma, that we need asthma to value our breath, right? Like, and that is our reality, right? Unless something is taken from us or the threat of it, our health, the loved one, our breath, we don't value it in the sense, we call ourselves intelligent people, and yet the things that I see in me and others, like I wonder that, oh my God, like if this is intelligence, what is being stupid? Like, I don't know. It just keeps amazing me. And yet, how Sri Aurobindo says that by, your stumblings, the world is perfected. So that gives me hope. But it's shocking that I need something to be taken away or given it the hard way for me to appreciate. And then also I keep forgetting. Like I get so enamored by the outside and things that, yeah, maybe it will change. I mean, it will change. What maybe? Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Snehi, I don't know if you have the capacity to share today. Would you like to share if you were able to practice this checking in during the day last week? Were you there last time? I think you were, but
No, I didn't attend last
okay,
week.
okay. So anything would you like to share on stillness from your personal experience? Your sharings also are very profound. If there's something that you do that you would like to share with us. Oh, see, hello, everybody say hi to Snehi. She has switched on her camera today. Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so these pockets of stillness, I've been practicing, I think, for quite some time. And what encouraged me to start practicing is this one particular experience where I was having an argument with my mom, and I screamed at her. And I felt so bad, like so bad, that there was a voice inside me that was like, you have to work on this. I'm not liking the kind of person that I'm becoming, like this bitterness and negativity. And I want to work on this and change my behavior. And then, like Monica ma'am, I think talks about parallel practice, right? Like a practice that is going on parallelly. And I also realized that a lot of these triggers and patterns have been there for so many years. Like the same things have been triggering me for so many years that it's almost amusing, that that we call ourselves intelligent and all of these things, but we're not even able to work on these patterns. Um, and then and then I started working towards having a parallel practice. So now when I am faced with those triggers, there is a part of me that wants to react. It's the same pattern, follow the same pattern, right? And then there is my parallel practice that's telling me to stay connected with, say, it could be the mother, or remembering, look at the bigger picture, and and or just disconnect. You are not, this is like drama that's going on. You don't have to participate, and it will pass. This moment will pass, and this, I will move on. But right now, if I react, if I scream at this person, then I will live with that feeling, uh, and and that would be very, very, like, it hurts you, right? Like, um and the other thing that I wanted to share is, I attended a theater workshop last week, and the theater professor was talking about the importance of being. The first thing that they teach you when you have to learn the craft of acting or theater, the first thing that they teach you is being, being in the moment. Like whatever you are and whatever you are not, just be in that moment and surrender, and that is so hard. And he was talking about there's this school of acting where they teach this being concept of being for the first 8 months. And he was talking about, I think he said something like, I have been working on this being for the last 25 years. And tomorrow, if I don't do my riyaz, I think he used the word कि मैं फैल जाऊंगा फिर से. I think हम सब इतने फैले हुए हैं कि this riyaz has to happen every day. And if I don't do the riyaz tomorrow, now I have been teaching acting for 25 years, right? Like I am apparently a professor and I'm taking this workshop, but if I don't do the riyaz tomorrow, मैं फिर फैल जाऊंगा और हम सब फैल जाते हैं, right? So the importance of sadhana, and doing the riyaz every day. And the last thing, I think I attended an Art of Living course where there's this process where you have to close your eyes and for 20-30 minutes you're not supposed to open. And there was this uncle who was again and again he was opening his eyes, and the teacher said something. She said something like कुछ नहीं रखा है बाहर, थोड़ी देर के लिए कर लो आंखें बंद. हमें बार बार ऐसा लगता है कि आंखें खोलकर हमें बाहर कुछ दिख जाएगा ऐसा कुछ, तो it was said as a funny tone में, लेकिन it made a lot of sense, कि हमें ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ ना कुछ तो. And then that also gave me a lot of inspiration. Now I'll close my eyes. कुछ नहीं रखा है. So yeah.
Thank you, Snehi. That was beautiful. I especially love what you just shared. Kuch nahi rakha, and plus the ability to disconnect also is a very big ability that we can practice, right? Everything we make bigger than life. Somebody says something and we are like, how dare you, or something happens and we're like, oh my God, I'm the victim. But this ability to disconnect. So, those pockets of time that I've been referring to again and again is nothing but this disconnection, right? When you just step back, right? When you're like, okay, checking in, if I'm checking in within, that means I am not this, right? So that gives that disconnect, that gives that stepping back, that I am not this. So it's in the same direction, but to hear it so beautifully said is really helpful. So you should share more. You hardly speak, but thank you so much for coming in again and again for however long you can. So I appreciate your presence. Yeah. Asha, would you like to share anything? I don't think you were there.
No, I was there last session. Okay. And you also gave me a target of 6, but I was not able.
Yes. You were the first one to give a target of 6, I think. Thank
Yeah.
you.
But I was not able. I was able to do 5 for the first day and the second day. And the third day, something happened. Something happened which, what do you call? I was in a very perplexed mood. Something happened, not with personally to me, but on the political landscape of a party which I love, and a member of that political party lost his membership, and it did leave me in tatters. Okay. So then I started thinking that who am I? I'm too little, too menial a man to think about all these things, and then I started that since I'm having this breath, that these stream of thoughts are coming, but it may happen that the next moment I may lose my breath and I may die as a nobody. So then I started watching my stream of thoughts, and slowly and steadily, I went back to that target kind of thing. And then it was from 3, I moved to 4, and then last to 5. So I started with 5, then flipped back to 3, and then to 0, and then again to 2, 3, and 5. So that's how it rolled out for me. But then I thought that since I'm alive and since I'm having this gift of breath and I can breathe as many times as much I want, and then something I remembered what a relative of mine told me, that breathe in subbed with every breath and breathe out shooked with every breath. So that also helped me to connect with my own breath. Like in the Sufi way of life, they tell in that breathe in sabr and breathe out shukr till the next out breath. So that helped a lot to me. I'm sorry I didn't keep the target.
No. See, the idea is not to meet any target, right? Like here we are not, there are any no timelines, no business numbers to match, but just that was just for us to give us a nudge toward realizing that, okay, what is that doing to me, right? What is that disconnecting or that checking in 5 times a day? Was a beautiful target. Congratulations for even aspiring towards it. So that's
And then I felt that all these thoughts and all this stream of thoughts that is taking me out from my own ambition and from my own target, I thought that I can do precious little in that. So there's no point in going there.
Yes, just on this, I had, while I think Sarda ji had shared, I remembered hearing something. I pulled up a video. Just on this, I'll share something and then you reflect on it. Okay, I'll share something. Before that, anything on any. Yeah, Deepa, let your curious mind be curious. We'll share that soon. Okay, so I don't know exactly from where he had started saying this, but it was somewhere around the 25 mark, I think. Let's see. And I'm assuming you can hear the sound.
Do you understand? The point is that thoughts are not the problem. The problem is that we feed into them. We become fascinated by them. We get carried away by them. And then they will come more and more and more. So the point is not to reject them out of hand or try to suppress thoughts, but just to ignore it, not give them any energy. Because your focus is on whatever is the point of your meditation. And the thoughts in the background can just go on. You're not interested in them. You're interested in whatever is your focal point. And then you get caught up because some particularly succulent thought occurs. And then you catch yourself. And then back to the object. Not with recriminations, not with judgments, not with upset, anger. Just back again and again and again. That is the practice. It's when we give up and just say, oh, well, I can't meditate today, and just go on with the thinking. That's where we've lost. However many times we are distracted, as long as we bring ourselves back again, quietly, peacefully, then that is practice. St. Francis de Sales, he said that giving advice to someone in the Catholic tradition who was practicing prayer and contemplation, he said, even if during that hour you are distracted 100 times, 1,000 times, if you bring yourself back, that hour's worthwhile. So, as I say, it takes patience and it takes perseverance. But relax. Think of the mind as very open, very spacious, not tight. But within that open spaciousness, there is this quality of awareness, of knowing, which is focused on whatever is our object, in this case, the breath. We breathe and we know we are breathing. Sometimes in the breath meditation, people find it helpful at the beginning to count. So then you breathe in and you breathe out 1. You breathe in, you breathe.
Yeah, I mean, that we can take up. It's a beautiful video and meditation. We can even take up a session of that, or I'll be happy to share it in the group. But what I wanted to talk about was, what Sadaji was saying, or what we were jammed, that one feels that one is doing no good, and that too is a ploy for the one who rules me, who has ruled me for so long, to tell me that ऐसे होगा नहीं. Yeah, it's useless, it's worthless, or you are useless, you are worthless. And each and every one of us, maybe barring Buddha, I don't know, goes through the same thing again and again and again and again and again. So how he said that if in 1 hour, if your mind gets distracted 100,000 times, or 1,000 times, I forget what she said. The loss is if you say, that's it, I can't do it. But if you keep coming back that, oh, I went again, no problem, here I am, then that practice is successful. The problem is that we have our own parameters of judgment, right? Like if we just reflect on what everybody was saying, we have our own personal parameter. This is good, this is bad. But we don't see that, oh wow, a beautiful journey has now begun. Right? That now I will start connecting within me like 2 moments a day. That is more than 0. So let's see the beauty there. Let's see now that where will this take me. But like I was saying, especially, when Jagan shared that if we make it too hard for ourselves, I mean, either obviously we can just, it depends on us. We can really go far with that efforts too. But if we make it easier, which is closer to how things are, it would be much easier for us to inculcate it in our everyday lives. And in addition to that, whatever practice we benefit from, we must, imbibe it. But if keeping things simple, but we all have our judgment and we don't need to judge. If I must judge, I must judge the one in me, who is basically, like Snehi was saying, that I could not live with that person anymore. I didn't want to be that person. But even if I was able to do it once a week, that's better than 0. At least I know it exists. Even if I was not able to do it, at least now I know I have to do it. So it's in my to-do list. So any step is better than no step, is what I'm saying. But having said that, we shouldn't use this as an excuse not to do this. कि हाँ सोच तो रही हूँ ना. So like, let's not get clever here. Let's not try to be intelligent. Let's try to be wise instead. This thing about being your own friend, or how Acharya says that, he used to say at least that, मुझे तुम्हें आग से बचाने के लिए आग से नहीं तुमसे लड़ना पड़ता है कि छोड़ दो जल जाओगे आ जाओ but I don't have to fight with the fire. I can take you out, but you resist. So if I know I resist, it would be helpful for me then, because I then might stop resisting or start resisting less. So yeah, any reflections on what we heard or anything else before we wind up this for today?
Ma'am, along with the last video, can you also share the first one, the one about phone mind, telephone mind?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
And there's even another one which is slightly longer, again on the same lines. That's also very beautiful. I'll share that with you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So just sharing what we had, you know, spoken about some points that I took don't mean anything, and yet, you know, some sharings were that mind would not stop, and we see that it doesn't need to stop. It will stop by itself if we just stay at it. We forget, absolutely, this is the biggest problem. So once we start giving it priority, right? If we want to include something, say if somebody says having water is really good, then we make a conscious effort, right? That I must drink this much, or okay, I must have 20 seconds or 20 minutes of walk a day, for example. So if we think this would help us, I mean, we don't need to think, but of course we can't help thinking, then we have to put in some indication, maybe write a note on a desk that, okay, whenever I'll cross it, I'll see that, okay, breathe. I remember that, you know, long time back, I used to sometimes write on my wrist here that, you know, breathe. Just remember to breathe. I thought I'll get a tattoo, but I didn't need to. Matlab, I still can. But yeah, I mean, anything that helps us, because we know how to, you know, navigate ourselves. We know where we get stuck. Yeah, I don't remember what Will put meant, but moving on. New effort. It's a new thing, so it takes effort and lots of, yeah, it takes effort, and that I think we have discussed that it doesn't need to take effort. It can just be that 30 seconds checking in. Again, frustrated with thoughts, felt calm and accepted thoughts. That's exactly what Jetsunmala was sharing. Need to find time. Yes, for the bigger exercises, we need to. And if they're important to us, we must. And yet, those small checking ins don't need time. They just need a will. They just need that, yes, let me do it. Let me see where they take me. We don't realize how distracted we are, absolutely. And the more we do it, the more we realize how distracted we are. So, again, that helps in reaching that state that, oh my God, this is where I am. So let me do something, or, you know, stop doing so much and be still, whatever works for us, to be less distracted. Let me begin the journey with one step. Make a you know, committing to it really helps. And that's why even the Sangat, you know, the company really helps. I was thinking, I don't know, we already have so many WhatsApp groups, but maybe, you know, a few of us can have another WhatsApp group in which every night we can write the number. We can maybe just do this for 1 month till we get into the practice of how many times we could do it, you know, those empty pockets. And if we want to do bigger ones too, we can write that, you know, 10-30 minutes meditations from Jagan and from all of us maybe once, and those small pockets, so that we don't need to do this. It sounds quite artificial, and yet knowing how we operate, giving ourselves some timelines, giving ourselves some number, a group where we can post, it helps us in being more diligent. It helps us in being more, I don't know if it helps or it's just sounding silly, but we can try if we want to, being more accountable. So yeah, love this, that, you know, nothing else in life is worth pursuing. So if we can reach that point, that would be again really helpful. So asthma and importance of breath we discussed. Don't like who I'm becoming. That's me. He said parallel practice, beautiful disconnect, and kuch nahi rakha hai bahar. Especially, you know, when you are kind of sitting there and so many things coming to scold yourself. Again, that kuch nahi rakha hai, it would help. And then we can be perplexed. There could be victim identities, and that is all a part of all this. Nothing new. The whole the drama is part of it. कहते तेरे से होगा ही नहीं तो छोड़. So accepting all this and yet smiling to these things, not taking them as a burden, कि हाय हाय फिर आ गया, हाय हाय हो नहीं रहा, then it will just again be another baggage that we are carrying, another, I mean, let this not be a to-do list, let this come naturally, but for us to reach that stage, if we have to make an effort, we must make an effort if it is important to us. And if not, then that's okay. You know, our time, maybe there's something else which is more important to us right now, and that is absolutely okay. But if we feel this is important, then we must commit and make time for it, for things to change. So again, I don't know. Yes, yes, Nandini.
No, I was just saying that, and the beauty is that once we start doing it, that it's not only the inner changes, but the outer changes as well, which is like, the litmus test of the practice. That, right till now it's outer dictating the inner, but once the inner start dictating the outer, it's so marvelous that you say, oh my God, my relationships have changed, my profession has changed, my world has changed. So it's like igniting that light within, and then how that light can actually become, just like Thai. I always see, like mother, of course, all the mystics, that becomes a candle, or for everybody in the world. So that was really like, for example, I sometimes feel, oh, I'm so much outside from India, and that thing really, it's so this thing, it creates so much this, like discomfort some many times. Oh, my country, all those things better. But that I look at Thai, for example, that and I see that it didn't matter, and it's a very powerful video. He has our true home, that we keep finding home. Oh, this is my home here. So, but how it is inside, and once we found that, everything changes outside. So that was very beautiful. That realizing that, like Snehi said, kuch nahi hai bahar. Yet when we find that everything inside, then even the outer starts becoming meaningful. Then then we'll say nahi, bahar bahut kuch hai, because andar wo, I've realized that. So yeah, so that was also just felt like saying that.
Yes, Nandini, thank you. And this is why we are doing it, right? Like, this is one of the main reasons why we are doing it, so that change can actually happen in our everyday. Little steps takes us a long way.
Also, just I remember I did mindfulness based cognitive therapy when I was undergoing really bad depression. It was a very severe depression 3 years back. And I told to my therapist that, that I cannot do it. Like, I feel like giving up. It's not like, she was telling me, do this practice, sit in and all of that, mindfulness and everything. I said, but it's so, I can't even get up and take a shower. What are you talking? Like, it's so disconnected. And I remember she told me, because I think she was also, practitioner, she said, but don't do it just for yourself. Do it for the world. So if you will do that, and if you will ask for if you will, like, I'm paraphrasing, but she said that if you aspire with that kind of bigger aspiration, then it will really become easy. And that was something really stayed. She said, imagine if you come out of depression, then how many other people can get that hope that, oh, I too can. So she said, do it for that, think about that. And that time I remember it was completely, I was so bad that I couldn't even think that I could even get better to even do normal things in life. But that was really beautiful, that if, like you said, if the purpose is this, that's not for myself I'm doing, it's for everybody around me, my husband, my children, my colleagues, the irritating neighbor that I have, or a cranky husband, like for them also I am doing this practice. So that really helps me, that okay, it's not only for me, it's for everybody. So yeah, so I just remind myself that too.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Nandini. That was really beautiful. And in Buddhism, they practice prostrations and everything. And I remember the first time I heard it was like that when you're bending down, knowing that there are so many who don't know the importance of these prostrations or bending down or say chanting. So whenever you do it, remember that you just tell yourself that the whole, say, cosmos is bending down with you, or everybody is chanting with you, or I'm chanting for everybody, because the one who doesn't know, but the one who knows has the responsibility to chant. So that really helps in bringing a newer dimension, a deeper dimension to this. Yeah. So, yeah, I think we'll end the session here, and just taking 1 minute to just again, thank you for the blessing for this session. There's a lot of emotion behind me. I apologize for that. Yeah, so just hoping that whatever we could touch inside and outside of us today can take us towards more stillness. Praying that now that I know some things that benefit me, I may be able to, put them in my life. I think I should end. There's a lot of back and forth going behind me. I apologize for the disturbance. And yeah, so thank you. So I was hoping that today would be the last session on stillness, but it doesn't feel like it should be. But I will just see if we are taking this topic, or we'll take a break from it and come back to it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Snehi. Thank you.
Yeah, Taru, I
everybody
would
for
like to
staying.
make a request, if I may.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
can we
please.
discuss that Jetsunma video the next time?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
We can see more of it also, and
yeah.
we can discuss it. Yes, thank you, Shyam. Okay, have a good weekend.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.